Hi guys, in this lesson I'm gonna take a Gm7 arpeggio in one position and make 10 2-5-1 lines with that. This lesson comes from a conversation I had with somebody on Twitter about how I think it's more important that you can use the different arpeggios and structures melodically instead of knowing a lot of them, and how you should work on that to get better lines. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this Gm7 arpeggio and then I'm going to make 10 2-5-1 licks in the key of F major using this arpeggio in different ways, and just to demonstrate all of the possibilities you have just using those simple 4 notes as a starting point, and then adding scale notes and playing them in different orders and stuff like that. I'm of course going to mention the scales I'm going to use, and maybe some of the ideas for the dominant chord, but I'm not really going to go into any detail about it. You can think of this more as a sort of inspiration for when you make your own lines. And also I think this kind of exercise is really good to take something simple and then really see what you can make with it when you're composing lines, and see if you can get some ideas. You think, oh, this works really well in this position, or this is easy to play, it sounds good, because those are the things you need to know. You need to know the stuff that you think sounds good, and then you also need to find the places where that's easy to play. Of course, for all the lines, the same holes as always. I'm still using target notes, and I'm still basing it on the chords and the changes, so nothing of that really changes. I'm just not going to go into so much detail in explaining what's going on. So let's get to it. There are 10 licks. The first lick sounds like this. Yeah, so just to keep it simple, just starting out with the straight arpeggio here, then going to the third of the dominant, and then making this pattern with the arpeggio from the third of that, and with a leading note like this, resolving that to the third of F major 7. The second line sounds like this. So now I'm using this sequence. And then I'm encircling the 7th of the C7. And then I'm playing this C7 altered line, which is sort of based around B flat half diminished arpeggio, before I'm resolving to the 5th of F major 7. And the third example sounds like this. So now I'm using an inversion, which is just starting on the third, and then this pentatonic excerpt. And then I'm sort of doing the same kind of idea with pentatonic scale, because you could view this as a pentatonic scale. So I'm using E flat minor pentatonic on the C7 for C7 altered, resolving that to the 5th of F major 7. The fourth example sounds like this. So the pattern here is starting on the 5th and then going first up and then down the arpeggio. Then I'm running up the scale. Then I'm playing a C7 altered line that's basically this D flat minor major 9 arpeggio, and then a line with a leading note before I resolve that to the 5th of F. The fifth example sounds like this. So this is sort of the pattern that I'm using on the G minor arpeggio, and then I'm running up. I'm skipping up to the 9th and then down the scale, which is pointing towards the 7th of the 3rd of the dominant, and then this pattern, which is sort of thirds in the alto scale, and then a sort of D flat minor triad idea before I resolve to the low C on the F major 7. So the 6th example, here I'm using a leading note idea and then triplet. So the first I'm encircling the root of the G minor arpeggio with, and then I'm playing the arpeggio like as a triplet, pointing towards the 7th in the chord, which is anyway a very useful way to check out your arpeggios. This thing with the triplet on the leading notes. You should definitely do that in your diatonic arpeggios. So running down the scale, and then on the C7 altered I'm using sort of a tritone idea. So I'm basically playing a line based around the G flat 7 arpeggio. So that's, and resolving that to the 5th of F major 7. The 7th example is using the arpeggio descending. So down the arpeggio, then I'm using this D sus triad arpeggio, and on the C7 I'm basically just playing C7 mixolydian before resolving to the major 7 of the F major 7. The 8th example sounds like this. So basically I'm just skipping from the 3rd up to the 7th and then descending down to the 5th here, and then chromatically up to the 3rd of the C7. And on the C7 I'm first using C7 arpeggio inversion and then an A major triad. So that's kind of a diminished sound, which I'm then resolving to the 5th of F major 7. In the 9th example I am adding notes in between the arpeggio notes, so that means that I'm to some degree mostly playing the scale, but since I'm adding them between the arpeggio notes I'm still emphasizing the arpeggio on the beat. So that's this. So you get this run, I'm adding the A and the C, and then skipping up to the F, down the scale. And the idea on the C7 altered is first an A flat triad and then a G flat triad, and then these two notes, which you could see as being part of an A flat major triad actually, before resolving to the 5th of F major 7 again. The concept behind the notes on the C7 is in fact two triads. So two triads from the C7 altered scale, the A flat major and G flat major. Something that I'll try to make a lesson on later, because this whole idea of using triads with no common notes gives you some interesting lines. But that's gonna come later. Let's do the last example. So again, it's using, if you just listen to it for the first time, you can hear that it's a similar idea on the G minor and on the C7. They're just moved. So I have one melodic idea that I'm presenting on the G minor and then I'm repeating it on the C7. The G minor line is actually just the arpeggio. So I play 3rd root, and then I just run down the arpeggio from the 5th above that. And on the C7 I am using kind of again this tritone idea, so I'm using the G7 arpeggio. And it's in fact the same idea, so it's the 5th, well that's the flat 9 of course, it's the 5th of the G7, but it's the flat 9 on the C7, down to the 7th on the C7, and then just down the arpeggio, and resolving to the 5th of F major 7, which is a C. So the idea with these 10 examples is of course that you can take any simple structure and use it a lot in a lot of different ways, and it makes sense to actually sit down and practice writing different lines with the same kind of structure and thinking about how you can put the notes together in an interesting way and change the order and sequence them and stuff like that. Partly because you might come up with stuff that's actually easier to play on the guitar, and partly because you can come up with some nice melodies. So these 10 examples are not really meant, I mean you can sit down and practice them, the lines are okay, but what I hope you do with them is more that you take them as a starting point for you to write your own lines, that you take them as examples of things that you can try and mess around with and make your own 2-5-1 lines or own lines on other kind of chord progressions that you need to play on, and expand your vocabulary in that way, because that's maybe a bigger goal, but it's also something that you will learn a lot more from. So I hope you can use them like that. If you like this lesson, then feel free to like it here on YouTube. You can of course also subscribe to my channel, and if you want to download a PDF of the examples, then there's a link to my website. You can go there and do that. On my website you can also subscribe to my newsletter. Then you'll get an email every time I make a new lesson, which is pretty much every week. If you have any suggestions or comments or questions, then you can leave them here in the video, or you can connect with me on Twitter or Google Plus or Facebook or Instagram and let me know there. It's always nice to hear what you guys think, and if you have ideas for lessons or things you want to hear about or that I should talk more about. So I hope to hear from you guys about that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching, and until next week.